Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being patient. Sorry, we're a bit late, but there was a lot of logistics going on to find a... And very, very happy to welcome Luca Pronzato, founder of We Are Ona, with amazing stories to tell. Maverick designer Harry Nuriev, who always surprises us with new designs and great designs. There to last and question us on how we see how we live and how we consume and how we design today. And chef Alexis Bijaoui, also very talented. And the three have in common to have collaborated on different projects, sometimes many times, and to have creativity or sparkles of creativity all the time. So diving into We Are Ona, what people say about We Are Ona, that it's a new wave of gastronomy, that it's fine dining and innovative architecture in an exceptional human experience, that it's creating a community for creative cooking, that it's culinary challenges and unprecedented experiences, that it brings cooking as a human art, that it's experiences in unconventional locations, and that it's towards a new future for fine dining. I think I found those across the web of experienced people talking about We Are Ona, and I think all of it is true. But we're seeing how architecture, design, cooking, locations, art, the human side and human experience are all shaping experiences. So what is We Are Ona, Luca? Can you tell us a little bit about the genesis of the project?
I would love that. Thank you for having me here. I'm really honored to be on stage today with two of my really, really good friends, Harry Nuriev, that I admire and support. He's supporting me since a long time. We did many projects together. The first one I was in New York, and the second one was in Paris. I will talk about them later on. And Alexis Bijaoui, which is a long-time friend, chef, has been working in amazing restaurants around Paris, but also the world. We have the same fine dining training, and we collaborate in many, many different events, and also a pop-up in Paris. So We Are Ona, and thank you, Clara, of course, for having us today. So we created We Are Ona in the idea of building memorable culinary experiences. So I come from fine dining. I used to work at NOMA restaurant for a few years, and instead of building one restaurant, we wanted to gather a community of creatives around the medium of food. So this was kind of the genesis of a project. How you can go out of the commune or the expected way of expressing yourself through a culinary experience.
And there was the idea of questioning and challenging, huh? Because seeing where fine dining was, and how could you take it to the next step? What questions did you have in mind in 2019? Because you founded We Are Ona in 2019. What questions did you have? What wishes? What dreams? And I'm interested in knowing what did happen and what did not happen. I think that's also very much part of a creative process.
Yeah, actually, so I come from the restaurant industry, and we never build We Are Ona in competition or in contradiction. It's more like a continuation of what, for me, the restaurant world is. But our idea, and it's true that we tried a lot of different models, and we're still figuring out the best way of expressing ourselves. But for sure, the classical way of building a restaurant was for myself limiting in a way of having one space and working with a limited amount of creative talent was not really what I wanted to express. And the idea of We Are Ona was really to build together for our guests among many creatives, not only us. It's what we are called We Are Ona, it's meaning the wave in Catalan, that this wave of talent expressing themselves together and how we can create a culinary experience that can be memorable together. So it's not only the service, the food, of course it is, but it's also the design, the architecture, the art and the intention you put in it. And the idea of the ephemeral kind of gives you a playground that is so challenging that for me makes you really creative. So you need to like challenge and face so much intuition and reactivity, spontaneity, and we did with those amazing talents we have in the stage.
Going into performing arts in a way, bringing fine dining into performing arts. And what was the first iteration? What was the first project you want to speak about?
The first year I left NOMA and we did our first project by trying many different way, I would say. We're not sure about like if we're about to do like 6 months restaurant, 1 week restaurant, 3 weeks, 3 months. So we tried everything in the first year. So it's been really ambitious and we did a lot of mistakes. We learned a lot, but it was an incredible adventure. So we built one restaurant of 6 months in Portugal where we invited more than 15 chefs, but in the same time we built one in Basel during Art Basel, and another one during the Fashion Week for a week in Paris, where we are doing only breakfast and tea time. So we always tried a lot of different things, but expressing ourselves as well, following for us the more inspiring moments, such as cultural weeks, really helped us to kind of go in the cities when the cities are really like burning in terms of creativity. And our community and our guests are really like a community of curious people. And it's really helped We Are Ona to find this way of expressing yourself in 1 week, 7 days. So yes, but we tried a lot of different things at the beginning.
So we have a lot of creativity, a lot of culinary boldness as well. I think we'll see with you, Alexis, how you bring this creativity into the plate and into the design, into challenging how people eat, how people feel, how people look at each other. I think the fine dining world is has a lot of constraints. So I want to dive into what I think is the most important word when it comes to creativity, is the creative brief. How do you brief? How were you briefed? And I'd like to hear the three of you on that moment that crystallizes a lot of wishes, dreams, and to make them come true. Maybe you can start, Alexis?
So on the picture here, it's a briefing that we do before service. So that's usually for more fine dining experiences, and also it's really important because then with Luca, we're going through every guest, knowing what they eat, what they don't like. And this is something very unique in terms of short-term events, because it's really a feeling of like being a chef, trying to make sure that every guest has the right experience. And this is something that for me is probably one of the basis of a good service. And having this in a short period of time, it's also very interesting as a chef.
So again, combining fine dining briefings and the highest standards with the most transient moment, because it's just basically a pop-up. You, Harry? How did you receive the brief? How were you briefed by Luca about creating?
Can you come back to the previous photo? This is not our project, I guess, right? I just want to point out, I feel this photo has no time. It feels like it can be in the 18th century or 15th century in the future. And Luca looked like this, almost like an archetype of someone who used to feed all the kings and queens in the world and adopt this knowledge from back then. The brief was very essential. We had meeting with Luca and his beautiful wife before at my studio, and we just have conversation about life. And then a few months later, I got a call from you, I guess, and it was Paris was first or New York? New York.
New York was first. Yeah.
Yeah, brief it's a very specific environment. You have to understand the power of pop-up restaurants. It's a completely different animal from permanent projects because you have very limited time. You have very specific attitude of the location, budget, and everything, and you have to put all your talent, all your energy in the same matter if you will do full-on hotel. And when you work in such a capacity, you have to be careful about a lot of things. You need to be respectful. You need to respect time, and it's how many people at the floor usually?
I think the team is around like 40 people working
40 people.
For 100 people. So like almost one person for 2 guests, yeah.
So they all synchronize, and each person is a decision, each person is a time, each person is a high professional, high value. I can't say element, it's not an element, it's the whole organism. So you need to make sure that everyone's comfortable, the whole customer flow is and all the back of a kitchen side. So, the people who walk from the kitchen and people who walk from the main door, they're all happy, they don't intertwine each other.
So it's a pop-up, but it's extraordinarily produced, and it's big design. It needs a lot of your investment of time and energy and vision to make it work in such a short frame.
And there is no room for mistake.
No room for mistake, yeah.
So another things that I discovered for myself and for my practice, we've been working with hospitality a lot with food, but the power of what's happening when you have wonderful food on your plate, person who talk to you, and then surrounding, and this formula, that's where magic is.
And you, Luca, how do you brief designers and chefs?
This is something that I'm not sure I'm briefing them. It's more a conversation. So it's really not our ideas to say, okay, we're going to do this, and this. So we do think that creativity at some point can be really collaborative. Of course, there is many ways to create. But the way we do pop-ups, it's really something that is a conversation. So as Ari says, we just talked about something, and nothing was really like planned. And we're going to see something that we did with Harry after that. It's something that really defined that, like we created this restaurant. I say to Harry, my souvenir of restaurant, he say like, what do you want to honor? And I say like dishwashing areas, like I say like back kitchens, and yeah, exactly. One of my best souvenir I have from my We Are Ona career, and so he say, okay, let me think about that. So he comes with this thing that I saw, and I was like, yeah, exactly.
But yeah. I wanted, before showing this, I wanted to get back to setting the framework for working. So there is this part where you meet with the designers, and then I think, Alexis, you also mentioned when we spoke that the incredible thing is that there was a total freedom for the chefs, so that you had, coming back to this maybe non-briefing, which is another way of another methodology, that you had an incredible freedom to create.
So yeah, it basically started, like he said, like a conversation. We talked on the phone. I think I was like on the other side of the world. We just had a talk about. He was saying, do what you feel like doing, and then he knows who to trust in a sense of like he also Ari said, to give you like a very wide frame, and then you can express yourself, and then that's what it's more like the creative part is more with the freedom and the conversation. Yeah.
And so this you collaborated with Alex de Betac, and we'll go back to some of the exchanges. And this is what creative freedom can look like. And this is recently during Art Basel Paris in October with a designer India Madhavi, and there's kind of a full immersion in pink, which also is culturally driven, or for people who know sketch and who know what she's done at sketch, is also a designer building on her own heritage, and I think that made it even stronger as a setup.
What I like in general is like they all feel so different, but how you can feel like some common things between all of them, you know? And I do think that something that is coming is not like minimalism or maximalism, or you call it whatever you want. It's more like the radicality in the way we treat these culinary experiences, or at least how artists and guest designer express themselves through those experiences. And I do feel that you need to be, in a way, really radical to create something as ambitious as a one-week pop-up restaurant who welcome more than 1,500 guests with like an 8-course menu. It feels like a nightmare when you're saying that like this, like why I'm jumping into this. And this is something that really makes the magic, right? And yeah, as we can see here, you know, like immerse yourself in this India world. She was like, oh, I really want like you get in your grandmother restaurant, but like definitely in an India way. So yeah, you were immersed in something really radical. So I really love this radicality to it. And this conversation again, for example, with Jesus Duron, which is a Mexican chef, and with India, we did our first project together at Hotel Condesa when we redid like the terrace floor, you know. So it's always like a history that we have also with, it's a human thing, and as it's human in the relationship and it's human at the table, because this is something that I always say, you know, we Are Ona can be seen in the social media, you know, and like it's beautiful setup and so on, but we fight for human experiences, because like at the end you sit at the table, eat at the table, like the pieces of the artist, the food is becoming yours, you know, it's becoming really a living piece thanks to this moment that you share with 99 other people at the same table, which is something that for us it's pretty rare.
So we see elements of radicality, and I want to come back to you because this is the table you created for people to share, people to be together, people to look in the same direction, to see each other across the setup?
Well, I think if you wanna treat Luca as a food guy in a restaurant design, it will be very misunderstood, because for me, Via Ona, it's an entertaining platform for unforgettable experience. Food is just one of the elements, and Luca very well aware of it, and that's why this beautiful formula of different things, not only design, not only food, but also scenography of his incredible team that comes from one edition to another. It's the whole environment that makes people want to come back there.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about this project? Because you talked about radicality, but there's a lot of disruptiveness and elements out of place. And on the same time, for those of you who have been next door to see Harry's installation, the silver element is already there. It's a completely different setup in the space. But here we have elements of your language, of your design language, that are already there.
This project was edition of 2024. Or during 23 even, yeah, so for during Paris Plus, which was before our Basel. And we were incredibly lucky with this venue, because it's a perfect square in one of the buildings that right after closed for big renovation. And I personally have a strong link with my intuition. When the first time came to the venue, I, first of all, we already discussed the idea of back of a kitchen, because we do respect a lot what's happening behind the scene, behind a door. And we want to bring it to the party. We want to share with people what's happening at the kitchen. Instead of trying to hide it, we try to expose it. And this photo doesn't give a credit quite, because this fountain, this composition, I don't know if you guys have a chance to visit this edition, but this composition in the middle, it's a fountain made out of the dishwasher sinks, and the water running from faucets and create this beautiful fountain, just like you can see in Concord, but in a different...
So celebrating those we never see, and those who are who plunge in...
Not only that you can see, but the dishwasher, it's a fundamental, the lowest
lowest category of people
category
in the kitchen that you
in the
never
kitchen
see.
when you have to start with to enter the business and go up. And someone in my family go through this entire process, and I'm aware of it. And but the idea that we also had an element which was kind of the merch things that become a symbol of our friendship. It's the dirty dishes. Was plain dishes that with print of dirty dishes of food that I finished during my travel around the world, and I took photo of the dirty dish and then we printed. The idea is that, you know, without dishwasher, the restaurant's not going to operate. And I think it somehow it touched your heart because obviously, like all of us, there is beginning in each career, and the dishwasher, it's the beginning of career in a restaurant environment. So it was something complicated in terms of production. We're not going to establish this matter here. It's a different lecture, but it's interesting and speak to everyone, not only people who care about what's happening behind the kitchen, but people who has no connection whatsoever with the restaurant business.
And for me, this is really like the way of seeing it as the way you see that an excellency approach of how you can eat in front of a dishwasher, because it's so creative, because no one eats in front of a fountain because you get wet basically. So we had to sit for I don't know how many hours to work with the water effect. So like no drop will go into our guests. And this dirty dish thing was really crazy because we always take, Ari called me and said like, you're not bored of always taking like the dishes when like they're not eaten, but when we prefer a dish and we love that, like let's take them when they're finished, you know? And so like, he did this amazing 8 series of dirty dishes, and the fun thing is like, the dishwasher were washing less dishes because it was sharing dirty dishes. So it was kind of like this beautiful virtuous circle.
Very disruptive. Here we're seeing
and Dalat
also,
Kambu was in the kitchen, an amazing Thai chef.
So it looks fun, it looks fashionable, it looks incredible, but it is incredible behind the scenes. And I think this is also part of what we wanted to talk about is the teams behind. And also, what is behind the Dinners Open to All? I wanted to come back to also part of the genesis and what established We Are Ona was a strong relationship to brands and the capacity to understand brands and transform their heritage or hint at their heritage through food. So this was a collaboration with Balenciaga. Maybe, Luca, you want to tell us a little bit about this collaboration?
Of course. So at We Are Ona now, we do around 10 pop-up restaurants a year that are collaboration with artists, chefs, and we do around 100 culinary experiences that we produce and create for our clients. And so we're really lucky because both are really creative in a way that the pop-ups, it's a conversation, it's really curatorial, it's open for guests that pay their tickets, right? So it's a really special feeling where we do events for our clients. It's incredible to express yourself, and it's something that Harris knows a lot, through a world, the DNA of a client, you know, in different moments. It can be an after show, it can be at the beginning of to celebrate a collection, and for me, what creates a brand dinner moment, it's again a souvenir, you know. It's a moment that kind of like, it's really emotional, and I do think that kind of stay for the people that experience it. And so this was a table that we designed because we're really lucky to have an incredible design team that I lead at We Are Ona that creates this type of scenography. And this was at I think 2023 when Demna was artistic director, and we created this really messy but organized table at the Palais de Tokyo with chef Valentin Raffali.
Here we see Jacques Mus in Versailles, very different setup, also building on the brand DNA. think another one for Chanel, which is again a completely different setup. So every time it's almost like it's a fashion show of food, or there are elements of the show that we see in fashion houses. And then back to you, Alexis. You did a dinner for Vacheron Constantin. And what are we looking at, and how did you build on the brand DNA?
So this is a little bit different because it was really close to a brand. So the briefing was also very easy, but you have to remember as a chef that you need to give credit to the brand, do a menu that is really focused on it. So the idea was to have on each plate, it was like 4 courses menu or something, and on each plate, on top of the colorimetry, we had to see the logo of the brand, but it had to be edible. And then, so the whole menu was developed with this. And what was very funny about it is like you have to hide it, but you also have to make people understand that it's for Vacheron. And it was very funny to.
So very fine line on showcasing the brand, but not being too obvious, to not be too vulgar, staying in your creative process, and edibility as well. And now we've talked about creativity as a cornerstone, radicality, disruptiveness. I think here again we're seeing elements where there's a lot. There is a great perspective, of course, but you lose landmarks, you lose your bearings, as if you were going into a parallel world. I think there's a manque de repères, lack of bearings, basically, to create an immersive installations.
Yeah, that's basically the funny thing. It's this picture is really representative about what we do when we do a pop-up, I guess, because we always try to respect where we are. So the time and place is something that I really learned at NOMA, and it's a concept that I really, really love. So how you can feel in Hong Kong when you're like a visitor coming from another country. Here you have like the view of the city, and when you're local, you know, you push a door, you're inside a building at the 7th floor in the business area of Hong Kong, and you say like, what I'm doing here, I would have never imagined that I'm gonna eat there. So it's really something that straight away create a wow effect and kind of like bring this kind of like room on. It's a pose kind of like we want to develop. For example, here with Mark Borswick, it's more known as a photographer, poet, and he designed this kind of peace moment in Milano during crazy Salone del Mobile that you all know here, you know. And so like you were going at Carla Sozzani new foundation, and it was like this moment of peace, you know. And I think this is those addition of details, you know, these elements, the level of this quality needed that provide this souvenir to the guest. Yeah, this was a really intense experience made and created by Carsten Oller and the We Are Ona team, and is a beautiful restaurant, Brutalisten, where people were kind of immersed in this black and white set, and only things in color were basically the people and the food and the wine, and you were eating like a cuisine that was made from. So the Brutalisten manifesto is about like you eat only one produce at a time. So it's really radical again, and so it's really strong. And you can see another setup here by incredibly talented designer Sabine Marcelis in Miami. So yeah, you can feel that it's really important. Alexander Betac in New York again. So it needs to feel where you are. So I feel for me, immersion is also like to remember where you're at the moment, you know, and don't go too far in not respecting the city or the time we are in. Yeah.
And building the presentation, I was actually intrigued by the number of seats. And you know, you always think of designing the table. And in France, you say art de la table, you design what is on the table, you choose what you put on the table, what's at the center of the table, what's on the plates. But you never really, you know, the chairs is something usually very simple. And you also play with a different variety of chairs. They can be stools, they can be more desk, being radical also about the way you sit.
We in New York at Aries, it was amazing camping chairs, no?
Oh yeah, there was a camping chair. I mean, to follow what Luca just said about environment and being context of where you are, I think that's one of your strongest side that you really reflect in as a postcard of a place and a venue.
Instant picture, huh? Something but as a feeling more than as a Instagram picture.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, Harry, what Harry does around like all the different exhibition is bringing this. You bring experience, you know, like to the moment. So this is kind of the same vision we want to develop, and we're really lucky because gastronomy, it's such an emotional way. Again, I mean, you eat every day, 3 times a day. You have all incredible souvenirs about what you like, don't like, and so gather around a food moment is something that for us, it's really defining what is like the new luxury, which is like the experience, you know, like I think a souvenir doesn't really have a price. And it's for that, like when we all together creating for our guests is really about caring. And this is something I learned from fine dining industry, from fine dining restaurant, that nothing counts more than your guests, you know. And so when we all there together, you know, even it's tough, even like it's not sure, even everything can change at the last minute, you know, we all kind of work in the same direction of like how you can build a strong emotion and a souvenir for your guest.
So I was touched by this correspondence that you sent, Alexis, which is really a behind the scenes showing how it goes behind and the exchange of emails and about a bold idea you had of having only one ingredient per plate.
You get that?
And I'd love for you to come back to it because it's about precision, it's about caring for the people as well, it's about yeah.
So when we talked about the menu on the phone, he was like, just tell us what you want to say. So I started to think about a menu, trying to make it exciting for the guests because it's like you're in Paris, everybody goes to restaurants all the time. And what's so special about Ona is the experience, right? So I was like, let's try to give the guests an experience, but trying to go a little bit beyond just eating the food, the dishes. So the idea was like to have like the whole menu, and then every dish was connected by one ingredient. And then so every time guests will have the food, it's like the dish itself, there was something inside, like the back of their mind, reminding the dish before, and this would go all the way through the menu. And then also trying to like tell a story with a dish, trying to make people excited and stimulated. So trying to find some asperities through the menu, some spices but with local ingredients, some things very dense, but only with very local things, so they can just connect to it. Going back to the emotions that we talked about, and then I think as a chef for myself, trying to catch the emotions, try to catch the the deep emotions to people with food is something easy if you really put yourself into it.
And I think there's a sense of place in your food where you were sending me pictures of exploring beyond and of taking dietary seriously and also editing a unique menu. So we have about the best available produce. So you were talking, Luca, about how important it was to be in Hong Kong and feel in Hong Kong. And I think for Alexis, correct me if I'm wrong, you need to feel the location you're in. It needs to feel the seasons, the weather patterns, the best produce in season, what comes from the place.
Yeah, so what's so also unique about Ona is like having the freedom of expressing yourself, but also if it makes sense, you can also go beyond and use like the best of what's available, you know. So during the creative process, you already know that you have all the tools that you need, that you want. And as long as it makes sense, it always comes from like a thought or something you want to express. And I think it's a good image with connecting with the visual as well. And then, yeah.
What were you exploring with here? The transparency of fish.
No, that's a cidra. That's I think c'est au
Buddha hand, no?
Yeah, exactement.
A Buddha hand.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's, I wanted to. I think it was for Vacheron and Constantin, and the idea was to have like a dish white with the logo on the bottom. So I was playing with like compressing it and making like a glass in a sense.
An amazing citrus that looks like, we call that
like
the Buddha hand.
Yeah.
And what's on the right side?
It's a potato dish, and it's funny because this one is the last one we did together was for a dinner for, like the brief was Thanksgiving, and then the idea was to have like a very kind of basic products. This was served with the turkey, but from France, and then they wanted to have like something very basic that you have at home on a Sunday. So I was playing on the potato. So that's like a
hash brown.
No, it's like a darfin, but like cooked for 4 or 5 hours on a very low heat, and it just bind together with just the potatoes itself.
And obviously taking into consideration that when you're throwing such important dinners, you've got all the dietary requirements that suit your. So there are still elements of fine dining in the service, in the amount of people available on the floor to help to serve guests, and in the dietaries. Huh?
Yeah, the dietaries is like way before we started making sure about the menu. We had, like, as I'm saying, of a chef's perspective, we have to make sure that we have a menu for no nuts, we have a menu for vegetarian, a menu for no dairies, and that's something even beyond, like you would see in a fine dining restaurant, because usually you do it on the day, but this you have to make sure it's like really organized. You make sure it's dietaries, like this guest has this guest has this, so everybody's aware for the briefings, like. Right.
It's a level of care again.
Yeah,
it's like sometimes they just say, okay, I just put out the fish, but we try to create something that is really dedicated to any dietaries.
And down to editing a unique menu, so keeping a memory is something that you keep that is singular as well. I love the non-open to the public chantier.
It was a building site for this.
And of course, you mentioned the aesthetics in the end, but I think we're all here to celebrate aesthetics with Are Ona. That's something you are amazing at, and making sure that in the end, taking all these considerations into account, it still looks amazing and disruptive. You were mentioning the art of living and all of the elements that, choosing the right bottle as well. And
that's
maybe
Betak on the right side.
And the flowers, and going into all the details of a fine dining experience, to sometimes be closer to traditions. It feels much more traditional, and sometimes be more disruptive. And you also mentioned the partnering with the best brands. It's about celebrating brands as well, and the brands that care for their guests and care for heritage, more than just building partnerships. Huh? Behind the scenes, Luca, this does bring great memories.
Yeah, this was with Elena Regadas from Mexico City, a dear friend, amazing female chef from Rosetta, Panaderia Rosetta, Lardos, many incredible restaurants, such an inspiration. And this was exactly like we worked only local Hong Kong and Asian product, but made in a Mexican way. And everything for one day. All like this, the ceramics were like 10,000 ceramics created for one dinner in Japan as mental, but it was amazing, really amazing.
It does look like a botanical garden.
Yeah, it was such great souvenir. And Sayaka Sawaguchi, dear friend, Japanese, based in the southern part of Champagne, incredible soul and creativity. This was in an old water reservoir in Basel.
You see the teams and the dedication of the teams behind.
With Pierre Sabernati in Paris, with Willow Perron at the design.
So a lot of expertise, a lot of team spirit. That is one of your pictures, Alexis. I think you wanted to celebrate all the people you've worked with.
Yeah, at the end of the very, I would say, intense pop-up that we had in Paris, it was such a, it's obviously very intense, but there's such an energy that you don't really see in other fine dining restaurants, because everybody's really playing the game, like really super invested. Actually, I think way more than some of the fine dining places you see, because sometimes people, they choose this like a job, but they don't really want to do it. But here, everybody's like 100% all the time, playing the game like early morning, late night, and then just enjoying themselves, enjoying the service. And also, as a chef, like I said, it's like very touching, very
a lot of energy. But you were mentioning it, Luca, as how important it is that it stops. The energy it gives you, because it's transient, because it's a pop-up, because it's not going to last, because you cannot miss the event. And so heading into the last minutes of this conversation, I think collaboration we've hinted at, but it is so important, and it might not be as easy as we think to pair a place, a culture, a designer, and a chef, because there are constraints everywhere, and new constraints. Maybe you can speak a little bit about that.
And we want to continue to explore, and for that we hope that we can create together with Harry. We're about to brainstorm on stage, actually, but something together in the future. You know, it's because it's fun. We were talking together the last time, and our projects, you know, have not exactly the same age, but like we have the same intention and a way of going really further and expressing ourselves. So it's really amazing to see also how a collaboration can continue, because everything feels so ephemeral sometimes, but it's really about like building relationship, you know, through the years.
We are on a family today. I think there's connections between countries, and
but I feel really honored to be able to work with talents like this. I'm really lucky.
So to finish up, I wanted to ask you all a question. What would you dream for We Are Ona?
Doing another pop-up with Harry and Alexis, for sure.
Which kind of space? Dream spaces?
I mean, I wish for you a Netflix show. I think that's interesting. Was one creative, is it creative something, you know, this show, or the show behind the scene? There was this person running with this list of things to open restaurant in Manhattan and Madison. That's what makes me think about you and doing Netflix show. I feel
like we missed the incredible behind the scene about the water thing, you know, like sometimes the horrible thing is like you can't really live again those moments, so you just have like to pick some souvenirs, but it's also really incredibly enjoyable.
But for the venue, seriously, what's your dream? LSE Palace?
Never did like really on the sea, kind of. We were really close to the sea, but sometime, you know, I don't know.
No,
we didn't.
LSE Palace, the President House.
Ah, Élysée.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
There you go.
Maybe.
And you, Alexis? Dreams of cooking with a technique, with only one ingredient, with what would you?
I would love to explore more, to go in a place and have like very indigenous produce and like do a menu with this. I would love to. I did this in Indonesia last year, and I think it's one of the most stimulating thing I've ever done.
And this, I think, is the most important thing about, like, I think what we all do is like keep staying really curious. You know, I think this is something that kind of make our life so enjoyable. You know, because we kind of really learning every day. And what you say is exactly the luck we have at We Are Ona, that we kind of learn from what we do, but we never really do the same.
A world of infinite possibilities. Thank you very much to the three of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.